Hello, this is Yihui. Today I want to talk to you about someone. He became enlightened in our time. I came across him just from browsing on Amazon books, and then I bought the book. His book called No Attachments, No Aversions. His name is Lester Levenson. He was born in 1909. And he passed away in 1994. So he was living in our time, and he wrote this book himself about his own story, how from his childhood through his teenage, his college, and his adulthood, and how he became enlightened in 1952 when he got diagnosis that he had a heart disease, that there was no surgery at that time that can cure him. Doctor told him that he only has like a few weeks to live, and so in 1952, when his doctor told him that, he just isolated himself. He had a penthouse in New York City, and he isolated himself in his apartment for 3 months. He cut himself off from phone, telephone, from any social life. He did not date. He did not spend weekends with family. He just all of a sudden cut it all off. And in that 3 months, he was thinking, because if he did not do anything, he would die. And because he did not want to die, so that 3 months he had a very keen process of examining his life, his past. And he was looking back at most of his life, he was unhappy. He was very shy when he was a kid, and he was bullied a lot at school because he was rather small. And he had a lot of fear growing up. His mother, who was very, very loving, she told him that instead of fight, it's always better to run away from a fight. So until one day, when 5 boys were punching him on the ground, and finally he got enough, he punched back, and then very soon he was running, chasing all the 5 boys. And at that moment, he realized that all those time that he had been so fearful, that fear actually got him nowhere. So he learned his lessons, that to become fearless. And because he started to pretend to be fearless, after a long time pretending to be fearless, he actually became fearless himself. Um, so that was part of the childhood story he wrote. And so during that 3 months time when he was isolated himself, he was looking back at most of his life that he was not happy. He always had some kind of health problem, and even though he was very smart, he was a scientist, he was an engineer, he started many businesses, he made good money, his business failed, those ups and downs, and most of his life he did not feel happy. So in that 3 months of time when he was in isolation, he really did not see anybody. He only went out after midnight only to buy groceries, so he would not bump into anybody. So when he was doing this keen process of examining his life, he realized that the only time when he actually felt happy was when he was in love. And then he was thinking, well, and he was feeling more happy when he was loving instead of being loved. So that's his first big awareness, is happiness. It is very much related to his capacity to love. And then the second big awareness he got was he saw a picture of this intelligence that we all have access to. It's kind of like he saw this picture of we are all like bump cars in the museum park, and we all have this pole that connect us to this um, higher intelligence, and we all have access to, but we don't use it, and but we are all the same. We are connected to that higher intelligence, and so anyway, I just want to recommend this book to you because it's really powerful to read a master who lived in our time and telling us his own story in his own words. Because like the enlightenment story of Buddha, uh, that was very distant from us, so we don't feel the direct impact so much from someone, if someone like him, like Lester Levenson, who lived in our time. And for example, the story of Jesus, how Jesus miraculously healed people. To us, that's so far away that sometimes we can't even understand and we cannot believe. We feel like, okay, Jesus is God's father. God's son, and he's so far away from us. But in this book, Lester, after he became enlightened, he talked about he became oneness with all, and his consciousness um, is so broad that he can heal people just like Jesus did, and he can even heal people from someone calling him on the phone, telling him he or she had this disease, and Lazarus can see this person in perfect health and heal that person. And Lester mentioned that sometimes it's so interesting, like in the beginning when he just became enlightened, that for example his family called him to ask him some questions, and because Lester uh, knew everything, he would just answer right away before his family or friend asking him the question. So in the beginning they were kind of shocked. How did you know I'm going to ask you the question? Anyway, so it's very, we're just both so fortunate to to um, have Lester Levenson. I really want to encourage you to read his story um, and his teaching. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you today. I hope you take a look and find it helpful.